Good morning, Booktube. This is a video response to a video that Steve Doneghy made. I'll link him in the description, NaNoWriMo. And something seems to be happening to him that hasn't happened for a while, looks like, for the way he's reacting to it in his video. And I felt that same thing a long time ago. It's been a long time, and I could even say that in some ways I'm sort of like making a vow of silence. I've kept that feeling away for my own reasons. I could make a video about that some other day. But this thing that he is feeling is what some writers refer to as the Muse. I don't like that term. I never use it. I only put it on the title of this video to provoke him. But I'm referring to inspiration. I'm referring to some energy that overtakes you, and that you don't know where it's coming from, but it doesn't feel yours. It feels like you are sort of like entering a foreign library, a collective consciousness of some kind, and taking a book of it and just pretty much transcribing from that infinitely bigger mind that is not yours, but that somehow you belong to it, the words on the page. That happens. That feeling happens, and I'm referring to it as a feeling because I'm not here to defend any sort of mystification of the act of writing. I very much agree with Steve when he criticizes people referring to the Muse as an excuse to not write, or to mystify writing to a degree that sort of like makes the words on the page feel supernatural. I think that indeed it can feel supernatural, that action, but that is not what I'm referring to. I think that the fact that something can't be explained, the fact that something feels magical, is not to say that it is, and the fact that something cannot be explained doesn't mean that it's not scientific, or that it cannot be showed in a material form, for lack of a better word. But I'm also not sure that the fact that everything is scientific is the same, is like the fact that everything can sort of like be scientifically explained if we had enough evidence, if we had enough access to trial and error. I'm not sure that that is to say that nothing is magical. And what I mean is that if we went like, I don't know, 700 years ago, and we gave a phone to someone, that phone would be very much a magical object. Experientially and phenomenologically, it would be a magical object to the people of the time. It would probably carry the devil. It wouldn't be good magic. It would probably be some sort of a demon for the animists of the time. But it would be anyways magical. And of course, yes, there is perspectives, and then there is the truth. But that doesn't change the phenomenological experience of magic. And I don't think that, unlike with a phone, unlike with a computer, I don't think that there will ever be a time when we can explain the very much supernatural experience, which is not to say supernatural reality or supernatural event, because I don't think it's a supernatural event. I do agree that it can be explained, and that it's just probably some mechanism of the mind at work that we don't know about, but I don't think that it will be able to be explained by science or anything like that. I think it's way more complex than that, and I think that it goes beyond our understanding. I think that it's a feeling that it can only ever be explored phenomenologically. Just like many others, you can get just referring to a previous book I read not long ago, you can take a baby and lock it into a room, and throughout and let it grow into a little girl, and for her whole life teach her about the theory of color, and let her study and know everything that there is to know about color. Yet never let her leave that room, never let her see any other color other than black and white. There is something about color that sorry, I'm kind of climbing my way. There is something about color that she won't know. There is something about what color is, a very intrinsic and specific part of its experience that can't be known, and that is the experiential phenomenological aspect of color. That is of no use to anyone who's trying to reproduce this in a lab or in some sort of like scientific basis. It's of no use for market or anything like that. It's of no use for our society. But on an individual level, you could argue that it's much more useful. I'm sure that anyone who I ask would rather experience color than know its scientific premises or its scientific mechanisms that make it be experienced. The same with inspiration. I don't think that we necessarily need to understand it. I don't think that that is the most valuable thing about it. And as I said, I have experienced that. I felt the trance of being possessed by something that felt fully external to me. It was mainly with poetry, and it was mainly in the Spanish language. I've never experienced that to the same degree writing in English, and that is part of the reason why I write in English. Because I don't believe in talent. I don't believe in just leaving one's projects to inspiration or to any external force. I only believe in hard work, and I think that is more than enough to achieve pretty much anything in this life. Of course, your walk of life will definitely, your background will definitely determine to some degree to where you can get with hard work alone. And I'm not saying that anyone can get anywhere. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an anarcho-capitalist or an individualist or anything like that. I'm just saying that I didn't like how easy it felt for me to write at such a young age. For 2 years of my life, I wrote an average of 10-20 poems a day of several pages each. For 6 months of my life, I felt that feeling non-stop. And I didn't like what it was doing to my personality. I didn't like what it was doing to my relationship to others. And I wanted to make things harder for me. That's why I stopped writing. I began reading. One of the reasons why I didn't like that feeling is because it came to me way before I read any book. Like some books, but not many. And I feel like I owed it to the craft to read a lot before I began just writing. And at that point in time, I was very young and I was working full time to keep myself alive. And every minute of spare time that I had, I dedicated it to writing. So I very much know it. I remember it nostalgically. I hope it will come back someday. I've gotten closer and closer. Not long ago, I wrote a poem called The Red Wolf, the first poem on the English language that I ever wrote that made me feel that way. And I don't know that I'll ever feel it in the same way that I did in Spanish with the English language, because my understanding and my understanding and capacity to handle that language is incredibly deeper and more developed than my capacity to do that on the English language. But again, I have to stick by my word and my beliefs, and I think that anything can be achieved with hard work. So that was a way of putting a stop to that for a while, so that I could focus on things that I consider more important, such as earning something that for me felt like a gift, something that for me felt like a bridge to a world of magic, and that I very much remember and think about daily. I don't write daily at this point. I mean, I do write daily, but not for the act of writing, but more for the act of deadlines, more for university, which is something that will be done very soon, and I will focus more on reading and writing as I will, and by my own desires, whatever. Yeah, I feel like I'm starting to ramble. I just wanted to say that, Steve, it is the Muse. It is inspiration. It is magic. Yet, it is not to say that it cannot be explained. It is not to say that it is supernatural. But let it feel like magic, because it is magic to you. Phenomenologically, it is magic. And you will never be able to explain it in any other way. So why would you? Why would you, I don't know, punish yourself for feeling what you're feeling? Feel it, write, and enjoy. You've earned it. And that's all I wanted to say. I'm very happy to see a video like that. I think I'm gonna weaponize this into some sort of tag or something, I don't know. But I mean, like, definitely, if anyone here knows what I'm talking about, knows what Steve is talking about, not to say that we are necessarily talking about the same thing, because we are coming from completely different walks of life, we have a different age, different experiences and everything. But if anyone, like, feels like what I'm saying resonates with you, if you feel like you might have felt it, if you feel like you know someone who might have felt it, if you wish you felt it, make a video about it. I would love to hear what you think about it, what is your insight. At the time I felt it, I didn't feel worthy of that feeling. It was something I couldn't escape, but in the moment it gave me a pause. I escaped from it. It gave me vertigo. I was very young and I had a lot ahead. And I had many things that required me that were beyond my wishes and desires and the capacity of my will at the time. But ever since I've missed that feeling, ever since I've called myself a writer, and ever since I have taken the act of writing very seriously, not in a priestly kind of way, not in a religious kind of way, not with devotion, because once again, I am not for the mystification or elevation of writing, the act of writing as something divine. The act of writing is something very much physical. It's a skill that can be learned, like surfing or anything else. But just like with everything else, there's something that some people call a state of flow. I don't know that it is the same thing when it's writing as when it is other things, but there is something that overtakes you sometimes, and that doesn't feel like it's coming from inside you. It doesn't feel like it's something that you are capable of. It feels like very much something that is way above you, that understands way more things than you do, and it can get you way beyond the limits of your horizons. Is sort of like kindly pushing you forward. And I also can't negate my own experience with when it comes to this. I also can't deny it, and I also don't want to, because it's one of the most beautiful things that have ever happened to me. Probably the most valuable experience I've ever had, because it triggered so many other things. It triggered so many thoughts. It made a wheel turn for the first time. The wheel by my own motion. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. But again, please, if you have any thoughts, any experiences, any ideas, any questions, any counter arguments to this, make a video, talk about inspiration, talk about the Muse. Don't take a book and tell me what the book says. Please tell me what you think, what you trying to achieve it, or having felt it yourself, what you felt, what you think about it, what you make of it. And Steve, keep enjoying that. Don't question it. See you on the other side.